Okay, let's unpack this because today we are jumping right back into the dark, mist-choked world of Barovia.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and fair warning, if you're settling in for like a lighthearted adventure, you might want to brace yourself.
Yeah, you really do.
Because we are looking at a story that starts with a heartbreaking midnight funeral, and somehow it ends somewhere infinitely worse.
It really does. It goes to such dark places. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the thematic spine of everything happening in this chapter is about desperate trades.
Okay, desperate trades. I like that.
Right, it's an exploration of what people are willing to give away when they are just, completely cornered.
Yeah.
The psychological toll of survival and the lies they tell themselves about why they made those bargains.
Desperate trades. Yeah, I think that framing is spot on. So if you're just joining us on this deep dive, let me give you a quick sense of the nightmare we're dealing with. We're following this incredibly unlikely trio.
Very unlikely.
Right. You have Fiad, who is a rogue but vehemently insists she's a bard, and she plays the fiddle to prove it.
Not very well, maybe, but she plays it.
She tries. And then there's Heliax, this massive orc cleric who has just been searching the world for his lost family, and Gesh, a kobold arms master carrying this huge, heavy guilt.
Because he was freed from captivity just a few hours too late to save the person he was sworn to protect.
Exactly. So they're a group already defined by loss.
Yeah, even before they walked into that mist-wreathed house in Daggerford.
Oh man, Death House.
Right. They were hoping for a simple job, only to have the mist just swallow them whole. And it took two of their friends.
It did. It really did. And when they finally escaped that house, they didn't step back out into their own world. They emerged into Barovia.
Which is just a nightmare.
It's a closed valley trapped under an oppressive gray sky, and its main village is under siege by the dead every single night, like clockwork.
Just relentless.
And tragedy has just hammered this place lately. Father Donovich, the local priest, sacrificed himself to save his half-vampire son, Doru. The giant, lovable armorer's nephew, Periwimple, who had known our party for exactly one day, mind you.
And decided they were his absolute best friends.
Yeah, he died defending the barricades. The village burgomaster, Kolyan, was torn apart in his own home, and his daughter, Irina, was bitten in the chaos.
Which leads right to the chilling ultimatum that sets the stage for tonight.
Yeah.
A man named Rahadin rode into town just immaculate, totally unbothered by the horror, and made a very polite, very terrifying offer to the survivors. He said, "Hand over Irina," and the nightly siege stops.
So that is where we find them. It is midnight. The wind is howling through these dilapidated streets. Fiad, Heliax, and Gesh are carrying Kolyan's wrapped body up a muddy hill to the church.
For a burial in the dark.
Exactly. And waiting for them is Doru, the 15-year-old half-vampire who just watched his own father die.
And this is where we see that very first trade you mentioned.
Oh, right.
Because Doru had already picked out a grave for his father, Donovich, a place of honor in this ruined courtyard. But when he sees the party carrying the burgomaster, he just gives it away.
He just gives it up.
Yeah, he tells them they can put Kolyan there. He trades away his own father's resting place without making a scene, just to offer a kindness to people who are hurting as much as he is.
It is so quietly devastating.
It really is.
He doesn't want gratitude. He just wants to help. So they lower Kolyan down, seal the tomb, and Ismark, that's Irina's brother, he steps up to give the eulogy.
Right.
And he is crying so hard, he's just wiping his face with his mud-stained sleeve, talking about a father who taught them to choose courage over fear. And the party, this group of hardened, battle-scarred travelers, they don't say a word.
No.
They just stand there in the rain in absolute respectful silence. They let him have his grief.
And then Irina speaks. She is twisting her hands into knots, scratching nervously at the vampire bite behind her ear.
Right, that physical reminder.
Exactly. But she makes this vow. She says that when she was a lost child, Kolyan took her in simply because she needed it. And so she promises, over his grave, that she will never stop trying to do the same for others.
Wow.
Because that is what was done for her.
And before they can even take a breath to process that beautiful sentiment, the graveyard literally erupts.
Yeah, of course it does.
Tombs crack open, mausoleum doors grind apart, the dead of Barovia, like people who were buried properly, not just the mindless zombies outside the walls, they shamble out of the dirt specifically to stop this burial.
It's so violating.
It is. It interrupts Bia right as she's playing a mournful tune on her fiddle. But here's what I want to ask you about. Irina is not a seasoned adventurer.
Right, not at all.
But when the ground shakes, she immediately drops to her knees to check the dirt over her dad's grave to see if he is rising.
Such a powerful detail.
Right. And when he doesn't, she draws a rapier and just charges the nearest corpse. So, I mean, is she just fueled by pure, unadulterated grief here, or is this the moment she transforms into something else?
I think it's the crucible.
Yeah.
Grief is the spark, absolutely. But what we're seeing is the forging of an iron will. I mean, she gets knocked down hard almost immediately, taking vicious claw to the face.
Ouch.
Yeah. Heliax, who is fighting across the yard, assumes she's down for the count. But instead of reaching up for help or retreating, her hand just crawls through the mud, finds her sword, and she starts fighting from her knees.
It's incredible. Just a raw display of survival.
Definitely.
Meanwhile, Gesh is holding off 3 zombies by himself, roaring for anyone to come help him. And everyone is just comprehensively ignoring him because it's total chaos.
Gosh.
I know. And Doru is so terrified his hands are shaking, spilling his holy water everywhere. But they survive it, and after the fight they're so exhausted, they just collapse right there in the mud to pass around the dead priest's wine.
Which is when the night shifts from violently terrifying to deeply psychologically eerie.
Oh man, this part.
Right. A green light rises over the graveyard. The spirits of Barovia's dead seep out of the earth. But they don't attack. They just form this silent, ghostly line and start marching up the road toward the vampire's castle, a literal march of the damned.
And that's when Heliax spots Periwimple in the line, the big sweet guy who just died trying to protect them.
Yeah.
And it's so heartbreakingly on brand for him. He notices the living, steps out of the line, trips over his own ghostly feet, and falls down.
Even in death, he's clumsy.
Even in death. And when Heliax reaches out to touch his shoulder to say he's sorry, his arm goes right through him. Periwimple screams, realizes he's a ghost, and then he just starts laughing.
Oh, Periwimple.
It's like he's the one guy at his own funeral who doesn't realize he's supposed to be sad. He just grins, waves at them, walks back to the line, and marches on.
It's a profound moment of closure, but it's also a stark reminder of the mechanics of this world.
How so?
Well, the souls in this valley are trapped. They don't move on to an afterlife, they belong to land. Which leads perfectly into Doru. Because he's sitting there with 3 glasses of wine in him, staring at that ghostly march, and he finally reveals his own terrible truth. How he ended up a half-vampire in the first place.
And this brings us right back to the theme of trades. Because Doru explains that when he was 15, a charismatic vampire hunter came through town talking about raising an army to storm the castle.
Right.
And Doru offered to go.
He traded the safety of his father's church for the fantasy of glory.
Wait, hold on. Was it really just the fantasy of glory, though?
What do you mean?
Well, he was 15 years old, watching his village get attacked every single night. I mean, isn't it more about the naive desperation of a kid wanting to protect his dad rather than some selfish ego trip?
Okay, that is a very fair pushback. You're right. It wasn't about ego, it was about agency.
Yeah.
When you are trapped in a situation where you feel entirely powerless, the illusion of taking action is intoxicating.
Yeah.
He traded his safety for the feeling of doing something. But the tragedy is, there was no army.
None at all.
When they got to the castle, the hunter vanished. The doors locked behind Doru. The vampire lord, Strahd, woke up. And the cruelty here is just staggering.
Yeah.
Strahd didn't just kill him. He made Doru drink blood, and then decided it would be much funnier to send the boy home, half-turned, back to his priest father.
A twisted joke that ended up costing Doru's father his life.
Exactly.
It's just sickening. But Doru is determined to stay in the ruined church and rebuild. So the party leaves him and heads back to the burgomaster's mansion to finally get some sleep.
Finally.
But of course, because this is Barovia, there is no rest. They arrive to find an angry mob of villagers with torches outside the house.
Oh, this scene.
The village has decided that the vampire isn't their main problem anymore. Irina is.
And this is a textbook response to inescapable terror. When a community is faced with an apex predator, they absolutely cannot defeat. Their minds fracture.
Yeah.
They can't punch the monster, so they turn on something they can punch. An innocent scapegoat, a woman named Alenka, steps right up to Ismark and asks if he killed his own father.
Which is horrible.
It's so horrible. And when Irina defends him, Alenka looks her in the eye and calls her a half-breed. She says the village is bleeding and the monster only wants the outsider.
Wow.
They're trying to excise the infection, entirely blind to the fact that they are turning on the very people who have been protecting them.
And Gesh has to channel his divine energy, letting his voice boom with this terrifying otherworldly presence just to physically drive them back.
Yeah, just to get them away from the door.
Right, and the villagers scatter into the dark, but Alinka promises they're coming back for Irina. So they go inside, completely rattled, and they decide they have to barricade the hallway. Heliax, the giant orc, and Gesh the kobold are out in the hall in sleep masks, propped up on pillows, swords in their laps, pretending this is totally normal.
A tiny sliver of comedy before the horror ratchets right back up.
Exactly, because Fiad steps out of her room, sees them, thinks it's ridiculous, and then she glances into Irina's room. And here's where it gets deeply unsettling. Irina is standing at her window, completely rigid. She is unlocking the latch and opening it to the dark.
Inviting the outside in.
Yes. And outside, the sky is thick with a swarm of bats and wolves are pacing back and forth past the house. It's like her brain has been hacked. She's just a vessel, blindly executing the vampire's commands.
Terrifying.
Fiad just full body tackles Irina away from the glass, and Irina snaps out of it, completely oblivious, and actually gets irritated.
Right, because she doesn't know.
She doesn't remember doing it. She calls Fiad bossy and goes right back to bed. And that is the terrifying realization for the party. Nowhere in this village is safe. The danger isn't just the mob outside the door, it's inside her own head.
So they dismantle the furniture, nail the heavy wooden wardrobes over the windows, and wait in the dark.
Just waiting.
Yeah. The psychological pressure inside that house is suffocating. They realize they can't stay. They are being squeezed out by the hostile neighbors and the haunted window. The environment is actively ejecting them.
So dawn breaks, and they make a run for it. But not before stopping at Bildrath's armory to get supplies.
Oh, Belgrath.
Yeah, Bildrath is drunk, mourning his nephew, Periwimple. And when the party tells him Doru is actually alive but half vampire, Bildrath coldly says anything half vampire should be put down.
So callous.
He is completely unaware that Doru is the one who respectfully buried the dead the night before.
Because the prejudice is so deeply ingrained. The humanity of the boy doesn't matter to him, only the label.
Exactly. And as they leave town, that mob mentality flares up again. They surround Irina. This time, bizarrely, they're begging her to stay, saying she's the heart of the village. Complete whiplash. But then one woman pushes through the crowd, looks at Irina, asks if she has any pies, and when Irina says no, the woman just spits on her and walks away.
Such a weird interaction.
It's just a weird, gross detail, right?
Yeah.
Keep a pin in that.
A very sharp pin. Because it speaks to the hidden economy of this valley.
Oh, yeah. So they hit the muddy road leading out of the valley.
Yeah.
It's pouring rain, lightning is flashing, and up ahead, looming over the road, there's an old wooden gallows.
Because the environment in Barovia operates almost like a sentient predator.
Yeah.
It knows exactly how to mess with them when they are already exhausted.
Exactly. Lightning flashes, and the whole party sees a body hanging from the rope, except Irina, who just sees an empty noose.
Interesting.
But Gesh walks up to it. He waits for the next flash of lightning, looks closely through the rain, and realizes it's Fiad. It's Fiad's dead body hanging there by the neck.
Oh, man.
He reaches out and touches it. It's solid. He pushes it, and the body physically sways in the rain, and then it just vanishes.
And Heliax tries to comfort her. He says he hopes it's just a trick, just foreshadowing. And Fiad looks at the empty rope and says, I really hope you're wrong.
Yeah, I hope I'm wrong, too. So they pull their cloaks tight and keep trudging through the freezing mud. And just when they are at their absolute lowest shivering, shaken by the vision at the gallows, cast out by the town they tried to save, they hear wheels.
The worst possible sound right now.
A wagon is coming toward them, and driving it is a sweet old lady.
The timing is impeccable. From a psychological standpoint, when a person is most desperate for comfort, when their defenses are entirely stripped away by the cold and the fear, that is exactly when the worst kind of predator strikes.
And Irina actually knows her. She says, oh, that's Morgantha. She's a sweet old lady.
Oh, no.
Morgantha scolds Irina for being out in the rain, invites them under the tarp of her wagon to get dry, and offers them food. She pulls out this steaming hot fruit pie.
Oh, God.
The juice is running out of the crust, the smell of baked sugar and fruit hits them, and it must smell like absolute heaven in this miserable freezing place.
Such a trap.
Heliax takes it. He eats it and immediately feels this incredible, unnatural warmth spread through his body. His eyelids get heavy. He climbs into the back of the wagon onto this big pile of something soft under a tarp, and as he falls into a deep magical slumber, he thinks, boy, these pillows move.
The dramatic irony here is suffocating.
Yeah.
We, as the audience, are watching Heliax succumb to something deeply wrong, and he's entirely oblivious.
Right. But Fiat and Gesh politely decline the pie. Irina declines, saying she's watching her figure.
Thankfully.
So Morgantha just smiles his grandmotherly smile, slaps the reins, and drives off with Heliax asleep in the back.
And this triggers a frantic chase. The illusion of safety shatters instantly.
Yeah, they run after the cart, climb onto the back of it in the mud, shaking Heliax, yelling in his ear, physically hitting him.
But it doesn't work.
The slumber is unnatural, he will not wake up, and Morgantha just chuckles affectionately from the driver's seat, saying he's sleeping like a baby.
Ugh, so creepy.
But then Fiad hears a sound. From under the black tarp. From the moving pillows. A whimper.
The moment the facade entirely cracks.
Morgantha's eyes dart to Fiad. Her tone drops. She says, "Oh, don't worry about that. That's just some roadkill."
Chilling.
Fiad doesn't hesitate. She summons a blade of pure mental energy and slashes the tarp wide open. And 3 dead children roll out onto the muddy road.
Oh my God.
And from the dark inside the wagon, the living ones start screaming, begging Fiad not to kill them too.
It is a horrifying reveal, the realization of what Heliax was sleeping on.
Morgantha just looks at the ruined tarp and sighs. Well, now you've ruined my surprise.
Just zero remorse.
None. And the battle that follows is just brutal. Gesh leaps over the cart, channeling raw, blinding holy light into his greatsword and strikes her. Her arm physically burns where the divine energy hits her.
And what's fascinating here is her reaction to being burned.
Right?
She shrieks, yes. But then, with her arm still literally smoking from a holy magic, she offers Getch a job.
It's insane.
She tells him he'd make a good enforcer. She says, we can go collect all the kids. They give them up willingly, you know, just to have a piece of my pie.
It's horrifying, and she calls up these swarms of birds made of dead twigs and feathers to attack them.
Right.
Heliax finally shakes off the narcotic sleep, wakes up in this cart full of terrified kids, realizes what's happening, and immediately anchors his own vitality to Irina.
A brilliant move.
He essentially binds his soul to hers, physically absorbing her wounds into his own flesh so she doesn't die. And thank God he does. Because Morgantha decides she's had enough of this game and she sets her own wagon on fire.
With the kids inside.
With the living children still inside.
Which brings us to the ultimate payoff of the graveyard scene from earlier.
Yes, yes. 2 hours ago, over her father's grave, Irina promised she would never stop trying to help people.
And she delivers.
Here, faced with a burning wagon and a monstrous child-eating witch, Irina doesn't even hesitate. She runs into the fire. She is tearing the burning wood apart with her bare hands, taking horrific claw wounds to her back from the twig birds, going down and getting right back up because Heliax is keeping her tethered to life. Just to pull strangers' children out of the flames? He meant every single word she said.
It's incredible character growth. She is acting with the exact courage her father taught her, rejecting the helplessness that Barovia tries to force on everyone.
But Morgantha is just too powerful. She drops a massive concussive shockwave of sleep magic that explodes over the road, battering Fiad and Gesh to the absolute brink of consciousness.
They're practically done.
They can barely lift their weapons. Irina is face down in the mud. Heliax is barely standing. Through pure force of will, they manage to strike Morgantha's mind hard enough to finally hurt her, and Morgantha just dusts the soot off her dress, looks at them, and says, "Well, wow, you were harder than I thought. I guess I'll see you later."
Unbelievable.
And she just sinks into the earth. She vanishes, leaving foul black weeds where she stood.
Because she doesn't flee in terror. She leaves because the effort isn't worth her time anymore. She's bored. And she leaves them alone in the freezing rain with the ashes of what she's done.
Yeah. They stand there in the rain. 3 children are dead on the road. 3 got out alive. Anya, who's about 10. Petru, who is so traumatized he just sucks his thumb.
Yep.
And Luca. And scattered in the muddy wreckage of the cart, there are 6 pies left intact.
Oh, no.
And this is when Heliax finally puts it together. He remembers what she said about ingredients, how she only makes them when she can get the right stuff, how fruit doesn't even grow in Barovia.
Yeah, he connects the dots.
He realizes exactly what he ate. He turns and throws up in the mud.
It's the most sickening realization possible. The physical revulsion is immense, but the emotional gut punch hasn't even fully landed yet. Because then Anya, the 10-year-old, explains how she ended up in the wagon.
She says her mother traded her own daughter to Morgantha for 3 pies.
And this is the core of it all. This is the ultimate unthinkable trade. We talked about Doru trading his life for a misguided sense of agency. Here is a mother trading her child to numb her own pain.
Yeah.
The pies are a narcotic. They offer a brief, blissful escape from the unrelenting horror of Barovia.
And Anya is crying, and she says this line that just shatters you. She says, "My mom does love us, I promise. She didn't know what Morgantha was."
Oh, that breaks your heart.
She's defending the woman who sold her for pastry. She asks if they can take her back home, and Irina knows the mother, Iwana Vaduva.
Oh, wow, she knows her.
She knows this woman picks up a pitchfork and defends the village wall every night. She knows the toll this place takes. Nobody has the heart to tell this 10-year-old the truth about what her mother actually did.
Because they sit with that heavy silence. What can you possibly say? When the mind is that broken by terror, ethics dissolve into pure addiction and survival.
You can't say anything, they just have to keep moving. Fiad notices Morgantha's draft horse is just peacefully grazing by the side of the road, but she realizes something's horribly wrong.
What is it?
Gesh had slashed its neck during the fight, and the weeds it's eating are just falling right out of the gash. The horse doesn't even know it's dead. Heliex gentles it, and a piece of its nose literally crumbles off into his armor.
Oh, gross.
They decide to keep it anyway.
A dead horse for a dead world. It's perfectly fitting.
They use the smoldering remains of the wagon to build a pyre for the 3 dead kids. Gesh swears a quiet oath to himself about what he's going to do when he finds Morgantha again.
I don't blame him.
And then they put the 3 surviving kids on the back of the dead horse and they march into the dark swamp because they can't turn back.
The physical toll is matched only by the psychological one. They are carrying the weight of all these broken trades.
And here is the final image. They are exhausted, wounded, and traumatized beyond belief. They've survived a graveyard ambush, an angry mob, a haunted gallows, and a child-eating witch. They are walking into the thick, mist-choked swamp, and the only sound is the 3 rescued kids on the horse whispering to each other, and one of them giggles.
Just a tiny, fragile sound of innocence in all that dark.
And right at that sound, something steps out of the shadows ahead of them.
Oh, man. What is it?
And that's it. We stop right there.
Wait, you're not going to resolve it? We're just leaving them in the swamp.
I am absolutely not resolving it. You have to wait. We're leaving them right there in the dark.
That is so cruel.
But while they wait in the swamp, let's pull back and look at what this all means.
Yeah, I mean, it leaves us with something incredibly uncomfortable to think about. We judge Iwana Vaduva for trading her daughter for a pie. We judge the mob for trading Irina's life for their own safety. But in our own lives, when we are truly exhausted, when our defenses are entirely stripped away and we are overwhelmed by the darkness of our own circumstances, desperate for just a single moment of peace, what are we secretly willing to trade away to get it?
Wow. Think on that. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Stay safe out there and keep your eyes on the shadows.